Welcome back. In this challenge video, you're going to be converting getCountry to use fetch just like we did for getPuzzle in the last one. And there are 3 steps for getting this done. Step 1, you're going to be converting getCountry to use fetch and return the promise that fetch creates. That's exactly what we do for getPuzzle. You'll be doing the same thing down below. So no longer will we manually create our own promise, and no longer will we use XML HTTP request. We'll be using fetch instead. Step 2, make sure that getCountry still resolves with the country that matches the country code. So in the above example, we resolved with the string puzzle. Down below, I still want to resolve with the country object so I can access it via country.name like we do right here. Step 3 and the final step is to change the getCountry usage in this file to use catch instead of passing the second function to then. That's how we'll be setting up the error handler. The error handler can still do the same thing, it's just about switching it over to catch. So take some time to knock all of that out and test your work. Make sure you still see the country name showing up. Pause the video, and when you're done, click play. How'd you do? I'm going to kick things off with steps 1 and 2, which require us to make changes to getCountry in requests.js. Over here, I'm going to start by taking the getCountry function and copying and pasting it down below. I want to leave a version in place so I can pull out some pieces later, like the code we have for filtering the list. We don't need to retype that. We can just repurpose what we already have. I'll call this getCountry old to avoid namespace conflicts. Now up above, we can focus on creating the version that uses fetch. I'm going to delete everything from new all the way down to the closing parenthesis. And right after the arrow, we are just going to set up our function body, and I am going to start with return and a call to fetch. In this case, what are we trying to fetch? We're trying to fetch the exact same stuff we had been fetching down below. We can actually grab that string, copy it, and paste it right here. Perfect. Now we can attach then and actually do something with the response. So right here, we're going to name the response argument. Then down below, we're going to end up checking the status, seeing if the status is 200, just like we did down here. Remember that ready state no longer plays any role in our calculation, so we don't have to worry about that. I also just noticed that ready state is misspelled down here, meaning this condition would have never passed, but that's okay. We're moving on to a new implementation. So up above, what are we trying to do? I'm going to start with an if statement, checking if response dot status equals 200. If it does equal 200, we're going to do one thing. If it does not equal 200, we're going to do another thing. If it doesn't equal 200, I am going to throw a new error. And we're going to have an error message just like we did down below. Unable to fetch data, for example. In the case of a success, we're going to go ahead and use the JSON method to correctly parse the response body. Right here, I am going to return response.json, just like this. This is identical to what we had done up above with our fetch call for getting the puzzle. Now we know we can attach then right here, and we can go ahead and set up our function. This particular function is going to get access to the data, and all we want to do is return the country that matches. So remember, I want to be able to keep the code over here the same, getting the country object. That means we are still going to need to use data.find to find the correct country. So we can actually take this line exactly. I can copy and paste it up above, and then all we need to do is return country in order to get things done. Data still exists. That argument matches up. Over here, country code still exists too. That still gets passed in to the getCountry function. Now, we can obviously simplify the code down below. We're creating a variable and returning it, which means that we could just return what we have right there, removing the unnecessary variable creation. And we know that since we're using an arrow function and we're just returning something, we could simplify this as well. I could potentially just take this, copy it, remove the curly braces from up above, and paste that in. Now, this is where it really comes down to personal style and preference. A lot of folks who use arrow functions and the arrow function shorthand syntax might not actually use it in this situation where it's a bit more complex. They might go ahead and prefer the alternative approach like this, and honestly, either way you go is fine. Just because the shorthand function exists doesn't mean you must use it. It is completely optional. You can use it when it feels appropriate, and you can leave it off when it feels like it's doing more harm than good. Now that we have this in place, we can actually go ahead and remove get country old from down below. No longer a reason to keep that around. And up above, what do we have? We have our converted get country function. Let's go ahead and save requests.js. Over inside of app.js, we're going to modify the usage. We can remove the challenge comments. I'm going to uncomment the get country function call, and we're going to switch things up a little bit. Step 3 was to convert this over to using catch for our error handler. I'm going to cut out the current function, removing the comma since we're no longer providing a second argument. Then right here, we'll chain on catch. All we're going to pass into catch is the function that we had previously passed in as the second argument to then. Now we have our success and error handlers all set up, and we can test things out. I'm going to save app.js over here. I am still getting Mexico showing up for MX. If I were to switch up this country code to US, I now see the United States of America. That's coming from line 22. Line 22 is the line right here, the success handler for get country. That's where I'd like to stop for this video. Down below, we can remove our old fetch call. No longer need that around since we've successfully integrated fetch into both of our functions. Now that is it for this video, but don't worry, the next video is also a challenge video. You're going to get a bit more experience working with fetch, working with promises, and working with promise chaining. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the next challenge.